it's been 5 years? Listen, we didn't know 5 years ago when we started on this journey, got, at least me anyway, completely destroyed off some of the drinks bartender Brandon made. We didn't know how many people were going to copy this little idea that three guys working at a restaurant just came up with and started talking about.
Copycats.
Yeah. Tell them, you went deeper into, so just so everybody knows, Mickey's been talking to me.
Y'all know the copycats.
Yeah.
And y'all know who you are.
Y'all know who you are.
The homages. They're really nice. But now it's time for Daddy's
home.
Down the wall.
But just so I can be completely honest with everybody, we've been talking about revamping the show for like 3 weeks, and he told me there were copycats, and for some reason, I didn't do a deep dive until we got here today.
It's okay. Everybody that needs real comic cocktail talks, we're back.
We're home.
To really dive in.
We're
You
home.
don't have to satisfy for the bottom shelf. This is top shelf.
Top shelf,
This is
baby.
top shelf comic cocktail talking. And we're back. It's about time to get it back up and running again. And it's there's a lot to go over. So because of that, I think we talked about, gosh, there's so much time. So like 5 or so years to flash forward through.
Literally.
We're going to go through. And coincidentally enough, because we're going to be talking about a lot of things, and most of them are going to be a lot of the film culture, the comic culture.
Right. Right.
Because since then, it's the fall of the MCU, the fall of the DCU.
Did it ever get up, though? We say fall
Yeah,
of
we
the
don't have
DCU. Did it ever?
It had some promising, some things, but they're even having a new, as of this moment, the Henry Cavill Superman's gone, and there's a new Superman just about to be released. We'll get there next time on another one, but we need to get through all this stuff, follow the Star Wars Empire in Shambles, get that, and then but there's a lot of trudging through all this stuff that's just like, so we're gonna speed through all that through in this episode in a generality, but one of the few. We talked about this on the phone earlier about did you like it? Like, what is there going to be talking about in the 5 years? I said, I think there's a beacon of hope. I actually liked, and I think you brought up The Flash. I said, I had something to say good about it. It's like one of the few, I didn't get to talk about many people about this, but I did like The Flash. I thought it was one of the few rare beacons of hope in that. And I also thought, coincidentally, the multiple Spider-Man, the interdimensional one with the
Tobey Maguire.
I can't remember all their names.
Yeah.
But it was the one home. Coincidentally, the one with all the live-action Spider-Mans, the goofiest one, was probably one of my more favorite comic-related movie adaptations. But it didn't, in my eyes, the Flash is the best. So in that nature, to get things started,
You're talking about Flash, the storyline.
The Flash movie
storyline.
Yeah, the Flash movie was awesome.
My issue, first of all, I really enjoyed the movie too. I loved Michael Keaton back as Batman. I really felt like we kind of deserved a full Michael Keaton movie because
he was the hero we deserved.
He stole the movie the second he was on. It was Flash was his sidekick instantly.
Michael Keaton was the Batman we deserved.
Batman we deserved at the moment. Now,
but
here's
not the one
thing.
we needed. No, I'm just. He was the one. He was awesome in that.
He was fantastic.
And then they treated him appropriately.
I think so too, and I even liked his death in it. I liked it and everything.
It was awesome.
The only problem I honestly had with The Flash was two things. Or I say only two problems. They backed away because the actor got into some trouble because he's apparently batshit crazy.
All the stuff we have to talk about. Yeah.
And then wait a minute, hold on. There's another point. They started the special effects.
I had no problem with the special effects.
I had a problem. I mean, I don't want to say it broke for me. The story was so good I could forgive the special effects.
If you're gonna do the movie in that tone, we'll get onto this. So what I'm going to do, because we're going to start on this, and we're going to start with The Flash, and I'm going to order this. So there's a drink I like, it's a Diablo Margarita, and it has all the colors and the emblematicness of The Flash. It's red and got habaneros in it. It's an awesome margarita. And then for you, because I know you like rye and bourbons, everything. Another summer drink. This is gonna zip me up. And then it's hot. It's gonna be hot. So yours is a barber shop.
Okay.
Basically. And
That'll work.
Yeah, you'll like it. I think Brandon, it's rye. There's a
Is he-
Davidson rye that we have.
Davidson. Okay.
So yeah,
Is he back?
Is he back?
Bartender Brandon? Are we
yeah.
bringing the whole crew back, bartender?
Oh
Get
yeah.
here, Mr.
Here we go. Here we go. All right.
There he is.
So,
The family's back together, guys.
hello everybody. All right. So this is the Diablo Margarita. It has strawberry, raspberry, habanero, lightly salted rim with Blanco tequila in it. It is sweet and spicy and a little bit salty. Just like I feel like someone's about to get with some cocktails, comics. But then we also have the barbershop. This is just rye whiskey, some agave for sweetener, some chai tea, and a fresh sprig of mint.
Ah,
Yes.
Ah,
Quite refreshing.
ooh,
Yes, quite.
Yeah. Thank you, Brandon.
Yes, absolutely. I hope you guys
Awesome.
enjoy. If you need anything else, just let me know.
Love the shirt. Hold on, don't go yet.
Oh,
We gotta literally make sure he drinks it. As you recall, in the other episode,
That's
To
right,
we got
that's right.
Brandon, to Brandon,
Salute,
to Brandon.
Brandon.
Thank
All three are starting it off.
Thank you, thank you.
He drank, ladies and
Oh my
gentlemen.
God. there it
happens,
is.
It happens. These beautiful coasters we have that
That's
you can
extremely
have
tasty.
too.
Let's show him. Let's show him.
Yeah, check
beautiful.
out the merch.
Check this out. We want you.
Oh yeah, we also have the little
Bar
wooden
coasters.
coasters here. Nice little wooden coasters.
Love it. Love
Yeah.
it. Love it.
Sets of these.
And we're also
you
going to have
might-
a lot more merch.
Right, and find around town the bar coins, and
Yes.
they'll be valuable. They'll be worth stuff. You can get hats, T-shirts, original art, prints. We could talk about that later. Hoodies, sets of coasters, whatnot, all sorts of cool stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Most of it hand done. So thank you, Brandon.
By the brilliant one himself,
to Brandon
Brandon.
and his Star Wars shirt that we're going to
Yes.
have over the Empire. And I love that shirt.
Oh, thank you,
Sure.
thank you. I wore it for the special occasion.
Well, we'll have plenty of Star Wars stuff to talk about. God knows Disney's cranking it out like
Oh. This is where we
Wow.
get lightly salty, people.
with zero
So,
damn.
in the top, yeah. Before we go back to Flash, Star Wars, since he's here, man, she's just killed me. And did you see Mandalorian? How many of all the required homework have they given you? Because when it starts to feel like it's homework, it is homework.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
it wasn't entertaining. I was all aboard Mandalorian, the original serial. When it was serial that like the nature and
Yeah.
the baby nature, and it's been so long I would have to go back through and look at it again. But I thought the opportunities missed. There was a lot of opportunities missed and hypocrisies in the story of like, if I remember, like Bo-Katan and like where she's not wearing the helmet and that they should not have respected. It would have been more prophetic if she kept the helmet on and did the way. Again, I would have to watch this. The first season of The Mandalorian was great, and the second and third, if I and they started weaving in with Boba Fett, and I was just like, why bring him back? Just leave. He
Yeah.
starts becoming this philanthropist, bantha herder guy. It's like, and he's packed. You can see how big he is in the fucking Boba Fett suit. It's like, dude, no. And I'm expecting the first season of Mandalorian, Pedro Pascal and Bill Burr. That Bill Burr scene was the best. Remember that?
No.
Did you see the comedian Bill
I love
that was
Bill Burr.
epic. It was jaw dropping that like that Disney let that go, and the fact that should have been the whole theme. But then it got into this like Mando is submitting. I have to watch it again because there's something about like the hypocrisies of him at the end, like, oh, we need to adopt him as a foundling, but he is already I thought that there's the nature of what they do as foundlings, and we'll have another
Conversation about that.
autopsy of all
I'll be
of
honest with
this
you.
stuff.
If I can bring the politics of it all in, I recall Mandalorian was first, right, of all of the.
I
all
can't
the,
remember.
all the
Disney-
spin-off
Disney
series.
stuff, okay.
Yeah.
And I remember there was the one actress who made the mistake of being publicly conservative. We're not political on this
Gina
show. Yeah.
Yeah, listen. Yeah, we're not political on the show.
At all.
You don't.
Yeah.
But they did a hard turn to the left as soon as she spoke up.
You
Yeah.
want to watch that?
Yeah,
We're not
dude,
gonna open
we're
that-
not- yeah, we're not
gonna
doing
open
that.
my
Yeah,
can
that's a
ahead.
different channel.
Yeah, it's a whole different
channel.
Underground in my bunkers satellite. You better strap up your tinfoil hats.
Yeah.
That is a whole
I'm
nother
not getting
thing.
into it, but on the surface, we have to talk about political things such as like because the nature of Star Wars and okay, so Star Wars to me was dead until I started watching it again with my wife, and I was like, and you know what caught us in because we hadn't watched it for a while was Andor. Did you see Andor yet?
It's been too much for me to dive into.
Andor will save you, and we can get into all this because Star Wars kill everything. I'm so tired of the fussing horcruxes, pyramids, ghost powers, and everything off the. We will dissect the whole lot of it, and it's just a blasphemy of the desecration of like the essence of Star Wars to me that nobody controlling this. And if I hear one more thing, like. We're done with the midichlorians. All this it's horrible.
Yeah.
If you everybody knows what Star Wars is, and it's 4.04 seconds on a YouTube clip. It's Yoda teaching Luke on Dagobah. And then when Luke is, I can't do it, and he goes, Judge, be my size, and shall you not, because the Force is my ally. And you hear the John Williams score, and because it surrounds me. No, I'm just being not just crew matter.
Yeah.
And you're like tearing up. That 4 minutes is all of the ethos of Star Wars. And then that is really what's going on in this galaxy, and then the evil that is operating, the evil sorcerer wizard there is such a thing as dark evil sorcerer, like the evil people, is manipulating the powers, this is getting back to the politics, of government and politics to rise fascism by playing both sides of a galactic war and basically an arms dealer on both sides almost and playing it out. But he does that with his Sith apprentices. It's baked in. You can't dissect Star Wars without talking about politics. Some things have to have politics. We're not taking sides on it. We're just examining it.
Yeah,
Right,
yeah,
exactly.
That'll be a different episode.
A whole nother.
And in the meantime, on that, I'm going to travel to a galaxy far, far away and try and come out with some awesome cocktails for that.
Nice.
So thank you very much. I hope you enjoy your drinks.
We shall. Thank you, brother. Good seeing you again.
Oh, yep.
Good seeing you again. Back to the Flash. It was good to have Brandon back as always, but we got to get back on this Flash because we get on tangents.
Yeah, so the Flash was one of the better things of everything. It's almost better to talk about all the bad stuff and then we can come to this, but we're going to start with it first and then run forward and get to some other good stuff. But the Flash I thought was awesome. Amidst everything else's failures, the Flash was, even though the craziness that Ezra Miller kid, all that aside and all of the hubbery, man, if that didn't exist, I could imagine how big this movie would have been. And then it's not a film. It's not like cinema where it's like a Christopher Nolan, Heath Ledger, like every frame you could paint on a wall.
Right.
And like it's not that, and it has but because of the universe it was made in, and it's part of that Justice League Abomination horror fest.
Right.
Is you have to have the Ezra Miller kid. So if I have to have the movie, I'm like, that's fine, I'll watch it.
Yeah.
Flash was one of my favorite characters I'd admit that if that kid didn't look like, I say kid, he's a man.
Right.
But like, he didn't look like the Flash in my eyes, but probably whatever, if you treat it appropriately, I liked his way he came about it in the Justice League.
Exactly.
His little parts and whatever. And I love the way the Zack Snyder cut of the Justice League thing is much better.
Much better. I've seen
so
it. Yeah, much better. Much better.
We've even come, I don't know if we talked about any of that
We
Justice
didn't.
League stuff.
We didn't talk. Justice League happened after.
We just talked about the Marvel.
Marvel is what we were talking about.
So Justice League is the Zack Snyder's cut was much better, even though it was longer, and you still had to sit there at Gal Gadot, like why you would have her giving that exposition at the beginning of it. It's like that's obviously clearly. And again, I have to watch all these things. It's clearly this just flashes of horror. It's clearly a Batman thing. Why is Batman not telling the exposition? Why is it somebody who doesn't speak English first language giving us English exposition to remember that?
Yes,
Long ago, there's a name is Zeus, and he is like, gal, you look amazing.
Yeah.
You honeypotted Zack Snyder for that because you're like, no, I want a 5-minute exposition. Who thought of that to give it to her? It's crazy.
Well, once again, the spirit of
Those
Hollywood
legs
at
in
that
that dress.
time. Yeah, well,
Anyway.
and it was this whole thing of,
She was so good at Wonder Woman, but it was.
Yeah.
But those Wonder Woman movies, both of them were atrocious. Anyway, The Flash is so
yeah,
good.
very
The
disappointing
whole
films.
movie's amazing, and the fact
And hold
that
on, wait a minute. For their hit record, Wonder Woman is one of my favorite characters throughout history.
No, yeah,
So,
I'm not.
it's
I'm
not
bashing
about-
the character. The character, I think she looks great as Wonder Woman.
She's
It's just
amazing.
the writing and the story and
Yeah,
everything.
exactly.
It's-
That's what we're talking
It
about.
was so clearly poorly done when you have like animated stories that they do in the animated version
that are
It don't
insane.
matter.
Okay, that's a whole nother conversation.
Well,
because
it's valid.
DC
It's everything he's talking about. We're gonna dive in. I want to knock out all this movie film stuff.
Yeah,
We're
let's
gonna
do
start
it. I'm
digging
sorry.
into like comic books
Mhm.
at one point because there's so much good stuff to talk about comic books in these upcoming episodes we have to do. But we're here for a second. So, but Flash is, I thought Flash was incredible. Of all the Spider-Man I thought was good, but it's not it's not inherent to that story because even though there's that meme with the Spider-Man and that we all know this, the multiverses have been done to death. I don't want to see more multiverses. I'm just so done with multiverses. With the exception of the Flash. The Flash is the one character where it's inherent to the properties of his character's powers to have like a
Yeah, multiverse.
A multiverse.
It would stand to reason.
and if you're gonna do it, it's like you do a shadow version of yourself. Like they didn't come up with some like I'm gonna get the guy. I'm gonna
Yeah.
get your mama. It's like they put the story. Like they even wove it like if again because it's in the this thing. If it was its own standalone movie, and it didn't have to be tied to the Justice League,
Mhm.
and didn't have to have some weird hokiness with like his roommates and weird kind of
Yeah.
comedy. This thing could have been, take out because the story is so good. I mean,
It's
this
a very
story
good
is
story.
very good, and it's
Very
all
good
baked
story.
into he moves the
the
can.
can.
Tell me you're not crying at the end of that movie.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it's wonderful.
Every moment that like Batman shows up, and they did it smart because like if you really think about it, like I don't believe Michael Keaton's coming back to play his Batman. He's playing like an alternate universe just shy of his
Mhm,
Batman,
mhm.
right? It's not, but that's how many. It's like if you know
Right.
anything about it's like.
Well, he even explained it himself.
Like,
Like spaghetti.
yeah,
Remember when he put it? He's like, "You think the time?"
I thought the
was
thing
like,
was awesome. I thought that
loved
was
it.
awesome. I thought he was in it. Batman, all the tag, every moment you're like, yeah.
Yeah.
thought I didn't mind like the girl. It's appropriate to have in this universe the
Superman,
the
Superwoman.
male Superman dies. It's the perfect time to
Yeah.
put a Superwoman in
Right,
and not
right,
Superman. I'm like,
right.
hooray, great
Yeah.
for this. All of it, I loved all of it, and I loved the fact that at the end it wasn't a video game punch fest to get
Mhm.
through the bad guy for no hokey reason, like a Shazam, where it's like,
Yeah,
oh,
yeah.
you're dragging up Lucy Liu and just
Yeah.
because Dwayne Johnson had to come in and ruin all of that, and then, golly,
Now you got to unpack that. You didn't like Black Adam.
Later, because
Okay,
Kat
finish
and
this
I
up.
watched that, and we pointed. You have to remind me about the Black Adam because
Oh.
there's so much. We have all this written down. We have like literally a sheet of like
Okay.
movies we saw, and most of them are the comic book. That's what we're going over. This most of them are comic book movies, and we have scaled as like, what are they, 1 through 10?
Right.
Flash is an 8.
Yeah.
And like everything, like Black Adam's a 2. Okay, and we could talk. I mean, there's scenes where I believe so we're getting off with the Flash. In the Black Adam movie, I'm pretty sure the editors done such, and I don't know if they picked it up, and I'm not going to spend a cent to figure this out on my own. But if somebody else wants to go out there and do some deducing and some Nancy Drewing and figure this out for me, does or does not, I believe. Did you see it?
What Black Adam?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, there's a moment where there's a big Black Adam statue in the city.
Yeah.
And I believe it gets ruined during the battle, right? And it's like crumbling. I think Adam Smasher, right?
Yeah.
Like I think he gets busted,
Knocked into it.
and then later you see Black Adam staring at that same statue in another scene, and he's like looking at it. And
Yeah.
it's like last time I checked, they didn't have 2 of those giant goddamn
Right.
statues in that
Oh
town.
my God!
It's
yeah.
the editors because that movie was such a fucking mess that like they didn't take that was obviously done and
Mhm.
edited and cut, and then it was like for a previous scene, and in the story they're like, oh, you know what, let's have him topple that thing, and then they didn't take it out, or I don't know how it got left in, but
Right.
it's like having the Twin Towers collapse, and then later they're up in the movie.
Yeah.
It's like
yeah,
to
yeah,
the
yeah.
nature, right? It's like,
To the
and then
nature
so I
of
go,
it.
is that the same statue? I pointed to my wife. It was
No,
nuts.
it was very much. Some of the comic book movies are money grabs, and they'll have great special effects. They'll have a very
It was horrible.
gregarious. Yes, they'll
It was
have a
a-
gregarious
yes.
sort of movie star that you like or you root for and you want to see.
I was super excited. Not to be nothing about Dwayne Johnson of The Rock.
Mhm.
I was so before all this movie came out. I was like, oh, Dwayne Johnson as The Rock. I mean, as Black Adam. That's got to be awesome. He looks awesome.
Yeah.
I mean, but then I was like, why is he like? He's campaigning really hard. We didn't know the behind the scenes in this part of the
Right.
demise of like the DCU, that he was like trying to go into the studio and undermine everybody to make his own universe and be like,
Wow.
because I want to be. That's why he was supposed to be the antithesis of the villain and the in the second Shazam
Right,
movie,
right.
He was supposed to be the villain. He was like, I'm not going to be a villain. I'm going to be my own. I'm going to be a hero. And it's like, well, that's not the nature of the character, bro. Go read a comic.
Yeah,
you know
that's
what I mean?
true.
It's
That's
like
true.
there's like a 15-minute like short animated Black Adam, the Shazam: The Return of Black Adam animated
Mhm.
thing. It's like, turn that into a movie. Everybody here knows what I'm talking about.
Mhm.
Y'all know watching know what I'm talking about.
Right.
That thing, turn that 15 thing. That should have been the Shazam Black Adam encounter without the Superman in there. And
Yeah.
that's how you introduce Superman, because that was a great way of introducing Superman.
Yeah.
But the Black Adam thing was so horrible. And 5-minute elevator fix about this movie.
Right.
Aside from everything about it being an abomination, like, you completely misused 007. Pierce Brosnan is like the most perfect Dr. Fate, and yet he's like the biggest dummy in the
Yeah.
whole movie.
Yeah.
And he's like bumping into the artifact. If I'd have to go and Clockwork Orange my eyes to watch this garbage. I apologize to my wife. I go, we go watch Black Adam. I go in there and I look at her and I go, Cat, and she goes, she's like this, and I go,
Sorry.
I think she kind of had a grin on her face, and she was like, I go, I'm sorry. She goes, it's okay. You know what I mean? I was like, God, look at this one. I mean, but it's been, we've each had a battle. Now it's just a war of because of how bad movies are, and the Kong, and you know,
Yep.
Kong is a comic book and whatever, but like, another day for the Monsterverse. It's for someone else. But back on Black Adam, 5 minutes fix, amidst everything else, and like Pierce Brosnan being like the Dr. Fate, the dumbest Dr. Fate, not fixing anything. What is the extent of his powers? Like, misusing. I mean, like, just so misused everything. But how do you not, like, if Black Adam versus the Sabak, the demon that took hold
Yeah.
of the whatever, and I gotta remember, if I watch the thing again, I was like, you need to have if Sabak didn't take a hold of that kid, and I think that if there was a problem with like the kid, like, why was the kid being controlled by Sabak? So you should have been more sympathetic with like not killing Sabak at the end.
Right.
But I think I'm like, how do you, like, the moment it ended horribly, but how do you not, like, the whole thing was like, Black Adam is not going to say Shazam to give up his power, right? You got to get the dude to say Shazam to give up his power, right? And so he goes in there, and of course you just want to see, the whole movie should just be like, this mother is not saying it. He's big, and you're just not going to get him to say. He's got superpowers. You're not going to get him to say it. What are you going to do to get him to say and give up his superpowers?
Right.
And I think they locked him in a thing, like the water thing, that was ridiculous. Again, I like the bubble effect they had in a cartoon one time, but which I would have used. This was unnecessary. All you needed was him never to say Shazam, never to give up his power. He's a broad bull. He'll go through everything. And to save if the kid, you have to save him at the end, and he's part of Sabak and the magic or whatever, how do you not have The Rock? He's got his logo as the damn bull, is it not? That stupid thing he's got? It's like, how do you not have him grab Sabak by the horns? I think he ripped him in half, right? Didn't he do something like that? He ripped Sabak in half.
Something like that.
Or something ridiculous.
I can't quite remember.
So if you can have him, you have Sabak and the child. You have to keep the child alive still, but like just rip Sabak in half and bloody. And how do you not have him end where, like, culminating to where like this dude has never said Shazam in thousands of years. Like he's been like, not today, right? But once the one time he would give it up to save the kid. So how do you not have him holding the bull Sabak and then like calling Shazam and then calling the Thunderstrike to eliminate the Sabak and then
take him back to his normal.
And then he gets his and then he's decrepit and what he sacrifices himself out of the one time you ever see him say Shazam. And then you build the whole campaign like, don't say it. You know what I mean? And it's like you can't get The Rock to say it. But you know, that would just take 5 minutes of writing in a room where it's just filled with nepotism and idiocy that fails upwards in Hollywood to mistreat all our beloved comic book properties to where we have to talk about this because it does. And you know what? Now it's crept into the comic book nature because in the realm too. And we're going to get all of the books and the graphics and everything because they have been poisoned and just with bad writing and bad. It doesn't take much to write well. It takes like two guys in a room to beat around ideas and go, does that work? Does that work? I don't know. Does that work? It's like, where are they taking these people? And there's so much agendizing and everything. But yeah, Black Adam was horrible. And then, but Flash was truly
of the movies, definitely of the DC movies, one of the better.
Made you cry at the end. Made you like had you feeling it all the way through. The consistency where it wasn't like a beat. It wasn't the Sabak battle. It wasn't nonsense. It was like the mom. He was the ghost. That he put the thing and he was like a little Back to Future referencey and perfect. And it was very good.
I would encourage you
as
if
good
you
as
haven't
it possibly could have been.
If you haven't seen The Flash yet, don't listen to what everybody said. Watch it. I mean, now you can rent it or catch it on Netflix or HBO runs that damn thing like at least twice a week. And I mean, I've watched it more times. It's one of those movies I go back to. It's kind of a feel-good movie for me because I really enjoyed the story and I enjoyed seeing Michael Keaton as Batman. My only bone to pick was, like I said, I think after Ezra Miller got in trouble, they stopped working on the special effects.
Oh, the special effects.
Right.
See, I just...
And what I mean specifically is the babies. The AI babies and stuff like that. I'd just assume they...
that scene unless you just...
Maybe don't do that scene.
Film... Well, because I
know you're not going to use real babies. I get it.
Okay, again, if you were doing that's the story of that Flash movie that is like... Not all the bells and whistles of the babies and the towers and stuff like that, and all the comedy and the very colorful, over the top kind of comedic comedy that like sticks it with that Zack Snyderverse. You know what I mean? So merges it with it. You could have had the same story and done it with like, I mean, the same actors and just not had the. If you didn't have to be connected, it could have been like really hard. Yeah, pretty intense, but. It is what it is because it was part of that. So you were expected to have of the. I didn't mind the baby scene because knowing that going in, it's like it's already in the Zack Snyderverse, and he's the one guy that can do this kind of scene. Right. And I love the Flash, and I want to see him do that kind of stuff. Okay. And I love the way they treated his metabolism.
I do too. Now I love that.
When they don't like this Flash TV show, and I mean the WB, whatever it is, and I don't watch most any of that. I just cringe at the budget and everything. It's just like. I'm like, I think if I got outside with a camera, I get pretty close to this. Where's all this money going? Right. You know what I mean? With the WB, I was like, who's writing this garbage? But, it whatever.
But I think there's always been some disrespect to comic book writers from Hollywood. And they've always found a way to sort of minimalize. Like, I think one of the reasons why the Fantastic Four movies haven't been amazing. Because they do all their work for them, because back in the day they were better, they're storyboarding and they were doing that's a movie, so you just had to do that. All you had to do was look at it. But John Byrne's run on Fantastic Four was some heady stuff, and sometimes it took a year, not just for a story to resolve, but actually even come to birth. Like, he would be starting it in January, and by December, you're like, oh, that's what was in the this is all connected.
Yeah, but if you want good stuff, it comes at cost with the, you know what I mean? It's like, pay good writers, pay good artists. People will wait for good stuff, Right. And again, that's another problem with the industry, because, like, it's like get a deadline. It's out before you're
Right.
writing a script.
Right.
It's like, please, it's ridiculous. You know, I can't remember how many. What other questions do we have to go over about? Because we had to go. The Marvel Cinematic Universe is all demised. I mean, I haven't watched.
What was the beginning and the end for you?
Thunderbolts it just
I haven't
came
seen
out,
that yet.
and I haven't. Even though I will say, it looks good, and I will check it out,
Mhm.
and I'll have something to say about it probably later. So I'm gonna try to make an effort with Thunderbolts because I've seen clips of it, but by this time there's so much homework with the MCU, and I think they lost most of the momentum because of the main characters' abuse of the main characters. You know, like it just and now like Robert Downey's the Doom and everything, and I'm like. You couldn't gotten another guy to be Doom?
I think they were trying to get a bankable guy, the guy that started it all for him. And I think the Jonathan.
I get that it's the Tony Stark version Doom and but like, it's like.
Well, wait a minute.
I'll say this: it's right. You know why?
Mhm.
You know why I shouldn't be surprised because all of Disney's MO is they're creatively bankrupt. They have not come out with anything. We're not going to get picked up by Disney by this, but I guess we're going to do the black flag. We're not. So if anybody gets like, dude, there's shills at Disney. There's like we're not shills.
No, we're not ever.
We're
No.
not calls it like pussies.
It's plain and simple.
And
Balls and strikes, folks.
Disney has been creatively bankrupt. I mean, for their first almost inception, every time they do a story, it's not like their own story. It's like a fairy tale Grimm story and everything.
That's
They
true.
didn't do their own story until you got to Lilo and Stitch. Think about it. You know what I mean? Like,
Wow.
who came up with an alien? Like,
Yeah.
that's not a fairy tale Grimm. They're all like Brother Grimm's or whatever. They're Mowgli's a jump.
Right.
You know, it's all and even they'll recycle their own animation, their own voice animators into their own thing, and then so it's like recycling after recycling after recycling until you can't get it, and it you know it's a copy of a copy of a copy of a copy, and it's just watered down until the point where like. We're just stuck with it to where we grew up with the beautiful 2D Jungle Book and the songs and everything animation, and now we're having to watch these 3D animated versions of them, and they're not even like bold enough to like or smart enough to change up the idea. I was like, I thought this was going to be like a live action, like serious, no song Jungle Book, but it was like you're putting songs in here, and then it was like, and then they didn't know what to do, and it was just like off the rails. But again, the testament to like. It's a recycle, and it's like, and then it's going to be a worse version in 5 years of the same dang thing. They can't even. They're just recycling the villains and making like, which muddies it down because you can't. You're giving these villains like perspectives of like humanizing them in ways that weren't in the storyline, and you don't need every villain can't be a Magneto.
Exactly.
You just need
There can't be a good
it's
side
like all
to
that
everything.
wicked witch that poison. I know it took the whole story when she's like, well, what's her motive if she was bullied and and now she's poisoning people with apples.
That
it's
goes
like
to their whole
whatever. But what got you on the track is that they recycle the same stuff. So when they got a hold of all these properties, they keep recopying them, and they just keep going worse and worse and worse. Like check out what they did with Power Rangers. Remember Disney once owned Power Rangers, and then every IP they get, they run into the ground, and then it becomes worse. And then sometimes, like the Power Rangers guy bought it at low, he sold it like higher than he bought it at, and then they abused it. They did the same thing to their Pixar people. They don't. The guy that built it.
Wait a minute. Let me defend the MCU real quick before I forget this point. We do have to be cognizant of the fact that it was supposed to run through Jonathan Majors as Kang. That was amazing. And if you watch
that
Loki,
all happened, and we can't not talk about the politics of it because this Jonathan Majors had allegations of we're not even gonna get into it, but if I remember, it was like some kind of Me Too movement, whether it be true or not. They were like, we can't use him. He's out, and then they had to flip flop for the whole thing. So now we're dealing with
and the entire Loki series was opening us up to this Kang thing because I did watch season 1 of Loki.
Right. Okay.
So it ends.
I watched season 1 of Loki as well, and
it ends on Kang, and we're about to get to this.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Again, they keep because that's why the first stage of the MCU worked so well because they did these really good stories. They had to do them hard. Even like Kenneth Branagh was directing that Thor movie, and they trudged and tried, and then you got to that Avengers movie, and it was really good. and then and then went through some more movies, and you're like, okay, and it was Ultron, and then by the time Infinity Wars came around, that's when it was like make or break, and then I think I just kind of was like didn't watch after, like, because then you got all this like Black Widow stuff and stuff that was like, it was so much extracurricular stuff and homework that it was just homework, and stories were bad, and you know, right, and there was agendizing and bad, and it was like, this is just, why am I wasting hours? I'm not even worth to watch it for free on whatever.
Well, let me ask you this question.
About the end of the Endgame. Did we talk about the end of the Endgame?
You've got a great alternate story for that, which would, I think, rock. But before I go to that, Deadpool Wolverine.
Oh,
now, I like Deadpool Wolverine.
The first Deadpool was, okay, and again, more drama. This is like the E! Entertainment cartoon. This is not the kids. So Ryan Reynolds is, if you're watching this right now, it's Ryan Reynolds is obviously in the news for what Blake Lively and all this stuff. But it was so sad to see that, because, not sad, I don't care about any of these. It's Hollywood. They're sociopaths. These people, everybody's surprised about. I was like, 90% of these people are like that. They're people that are hollow inside, that are like they're desperate for attention. I say this as I'm on here, but I'm doing this for bucks. Buy these t-shirts, buy these coasters, buy whatever. I don't care. Okay? So, like, people are surprised. It's like, oh, the sociopath that doesn't do anything in real life, that has to pretend to do everything and get paid billions of dollars, has a blown out narcissism ego, and it's like, what? Really? It's like, you don't want to know. Like, all you're just like, you're painting him with like golden strokes. It's disgusting. But yeah, in this case, all the stuff came out and unraveled all the Deadpool momentum, which was unfortunate, because Deadpool Wolverine was pretty good. I don't think it was the best one. I actually, the first Deadpool I really liked, because it was such a feat for him to get that R-rated Deadpool off, and then he leaked it online. But again, that's a testament to his like psychopathic, just outside the box nature. But it came to bite him around later. You know, you do so many cowboy moves. It's like, he had bad intent. Yeah. So, but he leaked that footage, and it got the ball rolling to get the first. But I like the second Deadpool out of all of them. It was my favorite one, because the story of the kid, the time travel story. It was Cable. It resembled his kid. The teddy bear. The Annie music at the end. He's like, and he is like, your heart's not in the right place, and he was like literally diving to like the heart. I think we talked about this last time. And then, so to skip forward, the Wolverine Deadpool, again, I don't think it was as good as the second one. And even though you got to see Wolverine in the mask for that 1 second, I think it was like all these multiverses Deadpools. It's like, what are we doing here? And at the end, it was like, why isn't this guy? It got too funny, and knowing what you know now, you had some questions about like that end gesture with like Ryan and Hugh Jackman, like man handling, you know what I mean? And we're like, well, there's probably something going on there, you know what I mean? Which is, that's totally cool.
Those
paints it.
Opinions.
Do you think they were in the outfits ever together? That's going to break the internet.
I'm not touching that.
Yeah.
There we go.
No, that's the clip. But that's what I talked about with my wife. And I go, Kat. She goes, what? I go, she goes, you live. I go, do you think when they were ever together, they were both wearing their fucking outfits? And she was like, just stop. Anyway.
Not me. They're dressed Mickey for all that. No, but I will say this. I thought that one was a refreshing change of pace for the MCU. Because it wasn't...
It was their better one that they had come out with.
Exactly.
Yeah, no, it wasn't. It was definitely one of their better things, but I would have... I didn't like the music choice, and I didn't like some of the action scenes and stuff, or like some of the...
stuff.
Yeah, scenes. I mean, playing like Hell's Bells, and it was very awkward, and like Wolverine has this weird crawl thing, and I'm like... And certain things you wanted to see, you didn't get to see, and it's just kind of like a fucking waste. I'm still... like, I'm still waiting for like... Everyone's like, oh... I'm like, listen, Hugh Jackman was great, let's... I don't think they can I don't think they can touch him or Ryan Reynolds now after everything that happened. Right. I really don't think they can. Because they were just going to ride Hugh Jackman till the end and keep bringing him back as whatever, like Wolverine. But
that's what Ryan Reynolds actually says in the movie.
Probably
you're going to be whatever. You're going to be playing Wolverine till you're 90, buddy.
Well, everybody's like, "Ooh, you know who I really want? The Cavalrine." It's like, yay! And everybody's cheering. It's like, have you read a comic book? Wolverine's like 5'2". He's ugly and he's 5'2".
Yeah.
He's not 6'4".
Yeah.
And handsome. He's not on the cover of GQ. He's supposed to be 5'2", angry.
Yeah.
And you just don't want to bother him.
Yeah.
His name tells you he's a Wolverine.
Wolverine.
He's like if you know what a Wolverine is in nature, go watch Animal Planet, and then you go, that's why that guy has that name, because he's like that animal. And this is coming from me. I'm 5 foot. Okay, so like we need a real Wolverine. I'm so tired of these 6 foot giant.
They've made him
Wolverines.
a sex symbol now. Can they? I'm with you. I always wanted to see the character more originally.
Do you know we need to have another one? Like I'm sure, but was another light of a ray of light. And did you see the X-Men '97?
Yes. Okay. Yeah.
It saved me and my wife. I was like, I can't believe they got away with doing this good. Now there's like a few things. And did you watch it? Do you want to talk about it?
Yeah. Knock yourself out. I'm 4 episodes deep into that one. So no, 5. 4 or 5. Anyway, I've been watching.
Okay. I don't know how to give everything away, but basic things. If you're only 4 episodes, first off,
they're more canon. They're more loyal to
Wolverine's like
canon.
the main character of everything. He's a grumpy McGuss.
Yeah.
You know, he's like and they got all the voices. It all looks. It looks. You know, because I have the original X-Men series. You know, we all grew up. I mean, whatever the cartoon, because we were all reading those Jim Lee comics.
Yes.
And then the Jim Lee comics were like right on almost like on that cover with the and the writing and his name escaped. Go back to it because we have a whole X-Men thing of all the greatness, but like that '97 was like, thank you that they got away with this and did it, and it was like if you could have a wish and like, can we bring back this show and just make it look good and like just make it look good and then treat the characters appropriately. It was amazing. Everything was great. I don't even care that Morph was gay at all. Like they made Morph. Now you can't make. There was suspicion that they were going to make Wolverine. I didn't get a sense that Wolverine was gay with Morph at all.
Right.
Like I thought that Wolverine was just like the classic. I didn't get any of that from him.
Right.
But that's not that there's anything wrong with that. But that's not the character.
You're big on that nowadays.
But what I do like is I do like that Morph was had that nature. But I wouldn't call Morph gay. I would think he's more like ambiguously by the nature of his powers, which totally would fit him.
Right.
You know, they do that in other comics where there's like a he/she. In the boys.
Big time on the boys.
We can go through all that.
Yeah.
Not this time, but because that's a whole one thing.
Mm-hmm.
You're right. We'll have a separate thing for that. And then, but the what was I talking?
You were talking about Morph and
Morph's
there were
nature.
rumors that Wolverine was going to be gay.
No. I didn't get the nature of Wolverine being gay. I like that he was even, he wasn't even, if you want to say like homophobic. Like Wolverine wouldn't be like, that's not him. He's like, that's a different kind of person. Wolverine's secure enough in his whatever, and he knows he's around these freaks, and he himself is a freak, that he's not like, and he can tolerate. I would think that he tolerates Morph's like gay kind of hitting arms. Because he's friends with Morph. Yeah. You know what I mean? And it's like, Morph, because he knows nothing's going to come of it. And Morph, because he knows Morph knows that there's nothing going to come.
Yeah, nothing's going to come.
It's more of like it's almost better for their behavior. And I liked it for that character. You know what I didn't? That was fine with Morph. Everybody had a problem with that, and I loved it. And when I got him a blank face. You know what I didn't like about it? What? Guess what I didn't like about Morph?
No.
Not the whole, but because I don't want to ruin anything else with the show. But
no. Say it. Tell me.
But did you watch it? But you didn't pick up on anything in the first, even the first episode where they do that awesome scene. They take down the Sentinels. Right. Trask in the facility. Tell me when they go like the X-Men music started cranking, and it was like dan. It was like, and there's like whole mutant. And the camera started shaking. I was looking at Kat with tears in my eyes. I was like, I was like, this. Am I that high when I'm watching this? Because this is everything I would want as a kid when I was like 13, 15, 12, watching this when maybe it came out, and then been like, it has to be done this way now. Beautiful. when the Sentinels are coming up, what was you didn't have a problem with Worf?
Well, first of all, let me just say something. My attention to detail, you've corrected me entirely too many times watching something.
Oh,
And wait a minute. No, not quizzing. But there's been entirely too many times when I've been like, I thought that was really good. And then Mickey starts to systematically break it down. And it's not the type of breakdowns that you can argue with unless you're just like it's ego involved.
No.
Like for me, I'm listening to the story and I'm like,
no.
actually, no, you're right. You've got a better point.
It's being an art teacher and just analyzing, composition and design and just at work,
Right.
Even, when you build shit, you're like, you're like, does the door shut on the frame? No, son, sand it,
Right.
wedge it, fix the door frame.
Right.
It's not gonna work. So, but we just keep getting square pegs around holes
Yeah.
with all these people, and it just has to be pointed out. And so we have to highlight why good stories, comic book translations, and whatever good stories are good stories. But because that's what comic books are. They're great stories.
Exactly, great story.
And whether it be.
But wait a minute,
long,
finish
short-
your point on Morph. You were about to say something. I want people
Oh,
to
you
get
didn't
that.
catch it? So when the Sentinels are coming up and you're like, this is amazing, and then I'll even take to the degree that like Gambit charged Wolverine's claws,
Mhm,
and I'm
mhm.
like, okay, we haven't seen that, or maybe we haven't seen the cartoon,
Yeah.
but in the comic books they might have done some kind
Right.
of power because they're all doing all kinds of crossover powers
Crazy,
and
yes.
But like, I really like when they do that kind of stuff, but it has to make sense given the power structures and everything. And I'm
Mhm.
like, I thought it blows up whatever it does, but maybe the adamantium can't blow up, so it
Right.
can just heat it up.
Right.
Because Instructor
Because
Wolf.
he gets hot claws at some point.
Well, that's the Helverine.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah,
Alright.
and when he's imbued with the power of the spirit of vengeance. Yeah, so because
Okay.
I love the spirit of vengeance.
Yes, we know.
We can go over all that. And so anyway, Ghost Rider was the ball. I have those of all the, and again we had to move, but of all the comics I keep and everything, one of my most treasured possessions are Marvel Spotlight issues 4, 5, and 6. And it's the first appearance of Ghost Rider.
Okay.
How do you not look at a guy as an artist and as an art kid? You're like, and a kid that loves Halloween and spooky shit and everything, and you see the covers. It's a guy on a black leather dude on a flaming motorcycle with a flaming skull.
Right.
Like sold. Those are my dad's comics.
Right.
I got handed down. I got baptized in comics and Conan.
Right.
Savage
But Morph.
Tales.
Finish this. I want to hear this.
You didn't pick it up.
I didn't. I swear to God, I didn't. I would say.
The one thing I didn't like about Morph was that even though they didn't use Morph's powers correctly. Morph can change and I get it's a comic.
Right.
I mean a cartoon. So you're not gonna have Morph like have to be naked every time
Mhm.
he wants to and whether or not you want to fudge it like that, Rebecca remains Amos where she's naked and then like her skin is like making the illusion of fabric of
Right.
textile, you know,
Right.
and she's not like putting a shirt on.
Right. Exactly.
So how does that work?
Right.
But we know in the cartoons, like Mystique is wearing that white outfit, which we assume is an actual dress and not her skin.
Right.
Yes,
in the comic books, I would.
Even in the comic book, still, when she's shape shifting, a lot of times they're not like putting on other people's clothes,
Exactly.
right? It's not like real world. It's like
Right.
I can believe that you might naked can like crumple down and shape
Look like
into
somebody else.
but you'd have to put on
Some
somebody else's
clothes
clothes
to make it work, yes.
work. Like if you wanted to look like the senator or the president, you would have to find a suit.
And
to
put it
be the
on
same-
and
you
then
couldn't-
change.
Right, but we're in a cartoon, so it's like you're not going to make the cartoon, even though it's a really well done cartoon, it's
Mhm.
pretty serious and has some pretty heady adult themes in it and
Mhm.
everything. Which the old cartoon had that too. If you go back and watch those old cartoons, like Charles
Right.
Xavier is a dog. Kat and I talk about that all the time. It's like this guy is Charles Xavier not the worst? He's having like psychic love affairs with all of his students, and he's like, why does he just come and like psychically stop everybody? He's the smartest man. If he was really the smartest man in the room, this is my problem with some of X-Men is like if Charles Xavier is so philanthropic, a smartest man in the room, like knowing what you know, why not just like go into like the stock exchange and like get all the money away from all the bad guys and like spend it on doing all the good stuff, you know what I
Right.
mean? Or like you have a lie detector built in, you can just you know when anybody in the room is lying to you or know what everybody's cards are holding.
Right.
There's no reason why Charles Xavier shouldn't be like the Illuminati level of money.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And then use that to benefit society instead of like fighting. He's not fighting politically. He's using children to fight politically against grown men like Magneto, that are like with grown men that are fighting the enslavement, which is definitely coming of their people.
Yeah.
And because Magneto was right, and it always happens that way. And they've done flip flopping of different versions of the futures and everything. But my problem with the cartoon of Morph. It's not that his clothes, like, because you gotta have him, like, like, you're not gonna have him naked shifting.
Right.
It's the fact that when he shapes into, like, Colossus or Blob or whatever, he's getting their powers.
Yes, I got you. And that, thank you. That's, yes. Okay, yeah. That drives me nuts. I'm right there with
See
you.
my neck?
Yep.
Because, here's my thing. And Bo Demete, whatever his name is, he got ousted. He created the 97, whatever, he had some involvement or a big making it. He clearly cares about it. And you can see, like, Spring, I think he's, like, gay, so you can see, like, I think I didn't mind the influence of, like, changing Morph to be gay and everything, and you can see some things. I'm glad they didn't make Sunspot gay, but you could tell he didn't want to come out to his mom. It's kind of like that. I don't mind that. They did as much as you can go, and again, I don't mind you making I don't mind your. Again, a lot of when you agendize those things, they're like so clearly obvious, and they're just, this is never in the characters. This has never happened. Why? Oh, this is force fed down my face. In this instance with the show, it was like always used kind of appropriately. For the nature of the story and everything, because the nature of X-Men, it's like coming, she bested, you don't want to come in, you don't tell your parents, blah, blah, blah. It was all done great. My problem is because Morph kept getting powers. It's like, listen, Morph was like morphed to Colossus. He morphed into Colossus and was like taking bullets, and then he morphed into Psylocke and then got her like sword power. And I'm like, this is my problem. Whoever was in charge, obviously, watching it was like done craft so well. And then, because clearly they know what they're doing, but like, that's such a big detail to like a nerd. That how did you nerdly miss that? You know, and this is my one thing. I feel like he was batting for Morph on that one. Like, he was giving more powers
than that
because of Morph's like whatever. And I'll argue he did Morph an injustice, because I would have loved Morph to been totally make him whatever he wants. But you didn't use him correctly. Like, how many times we didn't get to see, he didn't gain the powers of those people, but Morph should have been used as like basically the X-Men's Mystique. Like, changing into senators, changing into
that's how you use him.
Why did Morph not change? Why did, when the Sentinels came up, like, instead of morphing into the Blob, why didn't he morph into Trask?
Exactly.
And then the Sentinels
makes more sense.
And then the Sentinels like, wait, Trask. I see two Trask, and while the Sentinels like get messed up, then the other X-Men come in. And like, I mean, Morph's powers are cool. Like, for him to be tricking everybody with like, there's so many opportunities to get in, and he's like an espionage guy. He's not on the battlefield, but you can use him kind of on the battlefield. They did. I didn't like, remember at the end, or you didn't get to this point. I can't ruin it for you.
But I will finish it up tonight.
I can't ruin it for you.
But speaking of finishing up, I think we've had a good first episode.
That's true.
We've been going for a minute. I know Brandon's got to get to work. So come on back out, Brandon. Tell everybody good night.
Oh, sure.
Goodbye.
It's getting up there, so... Good night, everybody.
I heard you wrestling back there. Can you tell we used to bartend together? I was feeling it back there. I was like, okay, I got it. Hey, listen, we're glad to be back. Nikki, you're in rare form as always. Next time, Comic Cocktail.
All right.
Hell yeah. Yeah, this is going to be a good episode.
Yeah, no, this is...